welcome in to Retro Wrestling Rewind. Folks, can't believe it. We are almost, I say almost, close to WrestleCon 2019. As always, I am your humble host. I am one half of the greatest tag team in the history of podcasting. We're the uncrowned champions. We are the Freebirds of podcast. Yes, folks, we are rock stars. I am David Fine, alongside my tag team and co-host, partner of the Retro Wrestling Rewind, the true Long Island IZ, the hell with Zack Ryder, the great Alex G. Man, how you doing this week, man?
It's WrestleMania 3. Bigger, better, badder.
Actually, it was. Folks, I just want to say this week we're covering WrestleMania. Next week we're covering Battle Bowl 1993. They're kind of totally opposite ends of the spectrum, as Dusty Rhodes say, if you will, my brother. But it's been a great week, and we have been talking to Jarrett Parsons Wrestling TV. They're coming on as a sponsor of the network. Folks. Even if they didn't have great wrestling on there, but they have some great promotions. They have like Continental, they have IWA, they have so many others that I can't even name it. But the good word is it's free. Yeah, that's right, folks. Something in this world and something that's wrestling is free. It's on the Roku device, so just type in Jarrett Parsons Wrestling TV in your search feature. It'll come up. It's an old-timey looking TV that says Jarrett Parsons Wrestling TV on it. It's folks, the younger generation, the millennials. It's a TV that has the knobs on it that you actually have to turn. I know I grew up with a TV like that. Did you grow up like that in Long Island with a TV that you actually had knobs?
We had 3 channels and
yeah, and trying to watch the scrambled porn. That's what I heard people did, but that's...
Well, I used to use magnets and try to scramble it with magnets. It never worked,
but yeah, it's a great network. They're adding so much more content each and every month.
I'm very much interested in the ICW stuff that they're going to have and the Portland stuff, because the Portland stuff is really hard to find.
I've been talking to Adam from the Jarrett Parsons TV Wrestling Network, and just kind of wanted to... kind of give a little advance notice, folks. In about 1 week's time, we're going to be talking to the father of the great JEFFJARRETT, as Double J Jeff Jarrett, the great Jerry Jarrett. Is going to be coming on the airwaves here. They're going to be talking about the network. Folks, there's not much more I can say about it. It's Roku. It was supposed to come out mid-March, but Roku launched it early, which was surprise to Jerry and everybody at the network. But it's great. It can only go upwards. It's they have a lot of tapes that they have to ingest. I know that the WWE network, and they have a major conglomerate around them with a lot of people ingesting everything. And because I know a guy I work with currently in TV that worked for the network when they first started, and I asked him, I said, why does it take so long to get some stuff that, old stuff that WWE and Vince McMahon owns? He said it just takes a long time to ingest and code and all that kind of stuff. Folks, this is a smaller network, so kind of give them time. They're going to be putting up some more stuff. They have actually an old indie wrestling channel where it kind of shows old indie promotions. And have you ever fallen, and I know you have fallen into a YouTube hole, of wrestling. I just type in, Continental Championship Wrestling or Championship Wrestling or something, and it just kind of leads you down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, I watched like 4 years of Memphis back to back to back because I'm insane.
It was just, folks, I love the WWE Network, and they've got some great stuff, but just go on YouTube. There's so much free content. And some of the stuff, the quality is, but it's from the 70s, and it's uploaded from somebody's VHS recorder, digital copy. So I know you have a lot of tapes, and just wanted to say to everybody listening, we're putting together a retro basket for the Retro Wrestling Rewind booth. We're booth number 45. That we're on level 2. That's there's a first floor, and we're on the second floor. If you didn't know, if you haven't been on our Twitter at the RW Rewind, we are right next to Hacksaw Jim Dugan. We are right across the way, like maybe 15 feet. Maybe a little bit more than that, from Nature Boy Ric Flair, Mick Foley, Kevin Nash, DDP, Trish Stratus, and Lita. And that's just to name a few. folks, I am getting so excited. I mean, we have so much hijinks and shenanigans, at least I do, that we're gonna do while we're up there. We're gonna be there on Friday, the 5th of April, and the 6th of April. We're gonna be there till 4 on both days, 9 to 4 definitely on Saturday. Friday, it's going to be a little later than 9 because I'm flying into LaGuardia, and I've told that it could take a while to get from LaGuardia to I know that's not how you say it, to the city and to the hotel and get everything set up.
Because you're coming rush hour on a Friday, which is insane.
I mean,
you're a crazy person.
That's the earliest I could get into New York besides coming in on Thursday, and the wife is barely letting me go to this, so I'll be there when I be there, But folks, even if I'm not there, go to booth 45. There's going to be some information about how you can enter the raffle to win this said retro wrestling basket. Got a guy to Pennsylvania. He does a lot of impressions and he's doing a newscast for us for the next couple episodes, kind of a retro newscast, and his links to his material and his website and his Facebook, Twitter, and all that stuff, Instagram, will be in the show notes after you listen to the program. He's sending me wrestling figures. He's sending me a bunch of signed merch. He's sending me a lot of old magazines, and of course, I sent up. Should be there today when you're listening to this. The great Alex G. That some tapes.
Yeah, if we're not snowed in because we're snowing right now here in New York. So.
Yeah, it's
only a month away from WrestleMania, and there's a snowstorm coming through. I love it. That's
great. Your seats are they at WrestleMania? Are they covered? Or are they outside? Kind of.
No, I made sure. I believe I made sure they were covered.
That's good. And I don't want to.
It's going to be cold. Everyone, please dress appropriately. It's going to be cold. No two ways about it. Wear long johns, long underwear, get a thermal, get. You're not even going to drink beer. You're going to drink hot cocoa because it's that cold.
Yeah, it's going to be cold. And folks, speaking of things that you could wear to WrestleMania if you're cold, our official merch store is open as we speak. Just click on the link in the show notes. It's through What a Maneuver. They're out of Nashville. It's a great company. They have kids onesies. They have youth T-shirts. They have unisex T-shirts. They have women's, V-neck T-shirts. They have hoodies. They have just regular shirts that long sleeve heavy shirts. You may need those at WrestleMania and also in New York for WrestleCon. But just click on the link that you can see below here in the show notes. Don't click on it during the show. If you do, pause it. Because sometimes I don't pause my podcast I listen to and I just keeps on rolling and I miss a lot of stuff. Don't do that. It's gonna be
dude. You get two listens if they pause it and come back.
Yeah, they do. They do. And all of our shows have been super popular on SoundCloud. On iTunes, SoundCloud, all the social media platforms and the podcast platforms, and we're just so excited to meet everyone at WrestleCon. We gotta if you look at our Twitter at the RW Rewind. We're trying to hit 1,000 followers by WrestleCon, and we're gonna have a special show, a special something. If that person, that 1,000th person, or that person that puts us over, is at WrestleCon, and they say, "Hey, I am, Joe Blow from San Jose, and I'm the one who put you over 1,000 followers," may get you something extra, maybe a piece of merch, maybe I don't know, maybe a drink at the hotel bar. I don't know. It's going to be a fun thing. Iron Sheik is going to be there. He just signed. Have you signed up for the Iron Sheik, or has Muda's pre-sale gone on sale yet?
Yeah, $80 for Muda.
Well, that's not bad. Comparatively speaking, for other people, that's.
He's going to be on the high end.
Yeah.
he's right underneath Ric Flair, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels.
Yeah,
but you expect that because he's coming a long way.
I mean, folks, if you didn't know, Alex G is a super great Muda Mark. I mean, he's told me in confidence, which of course I'm telling everybody there. He's like, if Great Muda comes to WrestleCon, he's going to be at the top of my list. At first, it was like Ric Flair or some other high name profile name. Now it's the Great Muda. Would you say he moved to the top of your WrestleCon must meet list?
He's definitely number one. Just because number one, I love Great Muda. Number two, you don't get to really see him that often. So yeah, take the advantage of these situations when they occur.
Yeah, but speaking of of great events, we're talking WrestleMania 3 this week on the show. It was March 29th of 1987, Pontiac, Michigan, the Pontiac Silverdome, a record 93,173 paid attendance. Do you think that was a legitimate 93,000, or do you think there was some kind of papering?
93,000 if they counted all the wrestlers, media, security,
announcers,
vendors. They probably counted everyone to make sure to hit that number, but it was probably closer to, I think, 80,000.
I mean, what were your overall thoughts before we get into the meat and the potatoes of the card? I mean, what were your overall thoughts of this card? I mean, especially stuff leading up to WrestleMania 3.
This particular WrestleMania may not be the best WrestleMania in terms of match quality, but it's the most significant by far. There are a lot of angles and feuds leading up to this, where if we saw WrestleMania 1, there was one or two. WrestleMania 2, and there's a couple, but not that many. WrestleMania 3, there was a lot of angles that were cumulating at this event. So,
I'm sorry, what?
Accumulating.
Okay, sorry.
That's a real word. Look it up.
Look it up in the old Wikipedia. Okay, go on with your thought.
This also with the advent of Superstars. Now, Superstars, the television show, had debuted a few months prior to this. So they're in syndication across the country at this point. Superstars is their A show. A lot of their angles were building off of that. So you had the Piper Adonis angle, which was a big deal. You had the Hogan Andre, obviously. You had your Steamboat, and you had your Savage. Those are the big three feuds leading up to this event. In addition, there's other feuds that also led to this event. It would be Harley Race and the Junkyard Dog, or the Danny Davis stuff as the heel referee with the Hart Foundations, the TLC Tennis, and the British Bulldogs. Like, those are all really, really significant feuds. The Honky Tonk Man and Jake Roberts, that was an angle that led to this match. So, unlike a lot of the pay-per-views or WrestleManias before, a lot of angles and feuds heading into this event.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I haven't, of the two shows that that I looked at this week, and the one we're covering today, WrestleMania 3 and Battle Bowl 93. I'd say definitely WrestleMania 3 was a great. I mean, they had so many celebrities. They had Bob Uecker. They had Sally Hart. I think no, not Sally.
No, it's Mary Hart from Entertainment Tonight.
Sorry.
I mean, it was how that song go? I forget.
It was so much hijinks and shenanigans. They had Gorilla Monsoon. They had Jesse the Body Ventura. I mean,
Jesse the movie star Ventura.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Was this right whenever Predator was coming out with Sylvester?
Yeah. So that's Arnold Schwarzenegger, Predator, my friend.
I don't watch those kind of movies. So I'm not in that kind of stuff. I'm sorry.
Well, can I ask you a quick question before we move on here?
Yes.
Have you ever seen the movie Bloodsport with Jean-Claude Van Damme? Are you fucking kidding me?
Yes. No, I've never.
You're like the second person I've talked to in the past month that has not seen that flick.
I'm sorry.
I'm disgusted. I am disappointed.
And you will tell me that when we finally meet at WrestleCon?
I might make you watch it in the hotel room.
Hey, well, you can't do that. I mean, my dad will be asleep. Your significant other will probably be asleep. We could watch it down the bar. I mean, we'll watch it on my computer. I don't know. It's gonna be fun. But I mean, WrestleMania 3. I mean, it was the Pontiac Silverdome. The thing I loved about this WrestleMania is that they had the carts that took the wrestlers to and fro from the back to the front. I mean, what were your thoughts on that? That was kind of a cool adage to that.
Yeah, the cart was fun. Again, I think a lot of time we forget that the Detroit area was completely burnt out on wrestling. And the original Sheik had killed the town where they couldn't even get television on in Detroit for the longest amount of time. So prior to this event, them going to the Silverdome, they were selling out Detroit about 6 months prior to this. Detroit had went from being a complete burnt-out city, burnt-out town, to one of their hottest cities, and it was one of the reasons why they chose to have WrestleMania here at the Silverdome. In addition to that, the original reports coming out of this event, when they were starting to announce WrestleMania 3, that they initially wanted to have WrestleMania 3 in 3 locations, much like WrestleMania 2. So they went to New York, a Midwest city, and a West Coast city. They chose not to do that because Detroit was so hot, so they instead put it in the Silverdome. And there was a lot of talk about like what the configuration was going to be, because the Silverdome hosted, other stuff. They did, Pistons basketball every once in a while, Final Fours. So then they would constantly, they would reconfigure the Silverdome so, you don't have all those empty seats and what have you, and they were curtaining it off, or half the dome they were curtaining off. And Vince was like, nope, we're going to sell out the whole fucking thing.
And they did. I mean, and kind of on a side note, one of the wrestlers in this event, Harley Race, handsome Harley Race,
the king of wrestling.
As you heard, Ric Flair, he was doing
It's not terminal.
Yes, that's what I was going to say.
Ric Flair likes to gossip.
Ric Flair gossiped with Hulk Hogan in front of a lot of people, said it was terminal. But according to Dave Marquez of Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, he talked to the Race family, said it's not. I mean, he says he does have the cancer, but
the guy smokes 2 packs a day.
Oh, I mean that'll probably give you cancer.
Because it's Harley Race, and he doesn't give a shit. And if anyone can beat cancer, it's Harley Race.
So it's not. It's not terminal. So that's good. But on to the first match. It was the Great Can-Am Connection.
Your favorite Tom Zink.
Rick Martel, and as Tony Schiavone would say, handsome Tom Zink, who unfortunately is no longer with us, defeated Bob Orton and the Magnificent Morocco. With Master Fuji.
Racist.
No, I'm not anything I can't spell. So, what were your thoughts on this first match? Kind of out.
Well, I think a lot of people forget that the Can-Ams were going to be tapped to become the new World Tag Team Champions. They put them together, Zank and Martel, and they eventually, later on this year, were supposed to be the World Tag Team Champions. Zank would get pissed off because apparently Martel was making so much more money than he was, and Zank would claim that there were some sexual advances made towards him by some backstage people. We don't know if that to be true, but we get the Can-Ams here. You have Morocco and you have Orton, which is strange to me because Orton's spent the last couple months hanging out with Adonis and Jimmy Hart, so seems kind of weird to have them together as a team here. Obviously, we know Morocco and Fuji have been together for a while. They would break up later on this year, and Morocco would eventually turn babyface. And so none of the teams in this match would actually matter by the end of the year. Martel will go on to tag with Tito and win the World Tag Team Champions. And then Orton would leave to go to AWA. And Morocco would be babyface, hanging out with superstar Billy Graham. So nothing of any consequence here.
Yeah, it was a decent match to open up the.
It was fine. Orton could work, Martel could work, Zank is not bad, and Morocco, although he's probably at his bloatiest, he would get all back on the juice and become super ripped in the next 6 months or so. But he's getting older, you can tell.
Yeah, that was a good match. The next match. It didn't involve 2 wrestlers that I give 2 shits about. The only person
Billy Jerkins.
Yeah, and Hercules. The only person I gave a shit about in this match was Bobby the Brain Heenan. He is a legend. He will always be probably the greatest manager in the history of this great sport. Great on the stick. Great heel. He would make himself look like a buffoon just to get over with the fans. What were your thoughts on this match? It was ended in a double count out. So
interesting to know. Again, this is coming off another angle where you'll see who the master of the full Nelson is, and Billy Jack was kind of going to break Hercules' full Nelson, but Hercules attacked Billy Jack, and then they're off and running to this match. Interesting here that they left Billy Jack bloody. I think it's the only blood on this show. So you see Hercules kind of really getting over Billy Jack here, because Billy Jack would like to. He he would no show, and he had a bad reputation. With promoters, he wouldn't stay in territory for very long. So I don't think Billy Jack was around too much longer after this. So, you give Hercules the not the win here, but he definitely went over to a certain degree by doing that attack after the bell. So
yeah, it was a match. It was what it was. Next match, a six-man tag team match. Haiti Kid, the Great Hillbilly Jim, and Little Beaver defeated King Kong Bundy, Little Tokyo.
Man, there's a Little Beaver all over this place.
Little Tokyo and Lord Littlebrook by disqualification. It was. What were your thoughts on this? They called him.
Poor King Kong Bundy. He was in the main event the year prior. Now he's doing a 6-man comedy match that goes 3 minutes where he's squashing midgets.
Nowadays they wouldn't call him that. They would,
I'm pretty sure that you're still allowed to call them midget if you ask them if it's okay.
Well, okay. No comment.
Euphemism treadmill, my friend.
Yes. But your thoughts on this? It didn't really.
It's fine. Hillbilly Jim. We forget how over Hillbilly Jim is. I know we all think he's a joke, but if you go watch some of that '85 stuff before he breaks his leg, he is ridiculously over for no apparent reason. I don't know why everyone loved him, but he was over, and he would have been a big star. He would have been like the third babyface if he didn't get injured. So he's back here, and he's in a comedy match with King Kong Bundy, and no one really cares. Everyone thinks it's hilarious that King Kong squashed the midget. So
yeah, it was a match. It was
that's the reason they had this match, just for that spot.
Yeah.
You see Vince in the back like, we're gonna have Bundy squish a midget.
I wouldn't be surprised if that was why they did it.
Oh, I'm sure.
And speaking of things that actually are getting over, if folks are, they can't get enough of our voice, but they want to hear your voice even more on your retro video games channel. How can they do that? How can they follow you? How can they find you on YouTube?
Well, first and foremost, you want to go to YouTube. You want to type in Retro Wrestling Games, and you want to subscribe to the channel, check out a video, hit the like button, leave a comment. Recently, we just did a couple of cool things. We just started a playthrough of the video game called Fist of the North Star Lost Paradise, which is a really awesome game. We recently took a look at a TNA Impact Wrestling hack of the original Pro Wrestling Black Box video game, so that's really interesting. Our next video game review will be the King of the Ring, which is probably the worst wrestling video game on the NES, period. It may be the worst wrestling video game of all time.
Yeah, I love some of those retro video games, like I like the original. On the Nintendo, it's just they're
good. There's some of them. The quality varies,
yeah.
And that's why we can do reviews. So many of them. It's just due to the fact that there are so many of varying quality. There's some really great ones, and there's some god awful ones.
Most of the quality of stuff that I've seen on the channel is good quality. Where do you get that? Is that just all from the video games?
Well, yeah. I collect wrestling video games. I have all the consoles. 99% of what you see is recorded using original hardware. There's some other stuff that I have to use, emulators or what have you, just because, I don't have an arcade cabinet, and there's no way I can hook those up to a computer to record those. So the arcade games I have to get off emulator, but the rest of the stuff I own, so no issues there.
Any other contests coming up? I know you had a contest where you gave away a Nintendo 64.
No, I just gave away like $100 Nintendo 64.
You don't want to do a big contest for WrestleCon?
No, fuck those guys.
Whoa. Well, if you want to see a Twitter account that gives two shits about this listeners and followers, just go to the RW Rewind, because, folks, like I said before, we're going to be at WrestleCon April 5th and 6th, 9 to 4 on both days, and we're going to be giving away a Retro Wrestling Rewind merch basket. I can't tell you what it's going to be in there because I don't know what's going to be in there. See, it's going to be a surprise to me. I'm shipping it all to Alex G, and he's going to put it together put a bow on it and make it fancy. It's going to be at the table, even if I'm not there. Right at 9:00 on Friday, which I know I won't be. You can sign up, put down your email address or your Twitter handle.
I'm 100% confident that Marty Jannetty is going to try to steal it.
Hey, that son of a bitch better not steal it. If he does, Shawn Michaels will be there. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be there. The basket's going to be on display. We're going to have a lot of stuff to give away. Don't know if we're going to have any T-shirts to give away or to sell, but we may. If not, we're definitely going to be able to order them because, like I said, right now our merch stand, our merch store is up online. Just click on the show notes link. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be fun. But speaking of a match that was terrible, included the great Harley Race with Bobby Heenan and the Fabulous Moolah. He defeated the Junkyard Dog in a loser must bow match. I mean, your thoughts on this?
Again, this is another angle match where Harley Race wanted the Junkyard Dog to bow, and Junkyard did not bow, and what have you. So they go to this match. I don't know why Moolah's out there. It's weird. And I'm 100% sure that the Fabulous Moolah is Vince McMahon's mom.
I think we should do some research and see. But I mean,
I'm going to dig her up, and we're going to find out.
I mean, speaking of things that should be buried in long gone forever. I mean, the Junkyard Dog. I mean, what are your thoughts on his career? I mean, he hasn't always
post 1986. He was awful.
Yeah.
Before 1986, you're talking about your Mid-South Junkyard Dog, even to a certain extent, your early WWF Junkyard Dog. Amazing. Not the best worker, but he didn't have to be. He was a gimmick. He's fantastic. He's the JYD.
Yeah, I mean, if people wanted to go and research him on YouTube, I mean, he's not always been the Junkyard Dog. Tell people if they don't know what was his name that he used.
He was Big Daddy Ritter over in Stampede.
Yes, I mean, for a guy who no one wanted to work with, I guess he was an okay wrestler. I mean,
Flair hated working with him.
Oh, and he had to go in a world title match with him. I think it was on a Clash or a Starrcade or one of the.
A lot. He wrestled the JYD a lot.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, Race threw out a nice belly-to-belly suplex on Junkyard Dog to get the win here, so that's nice. They only went 4 minutes.
Yeah. It is what it is. I mean, it's Harley Race. Thank God It
was an angle. It wasn't even really a match. This was just an angle here.
I mean, and speaking of something that's I think is an angle, we had the dream team of Brutus the Barber Beefcake and Greg Valentine, and of course,
future Hall of Famer Brutus the Barber Beefcake.
Is there no qualifications, no bar that you have to go over to?
I'm hoping for Mega Man Tom McGee to get in next year.
I mean, come on. Our current president, Donald Trump, is in the celebrity wing of the Hall of Fame, which doesn't actually exist. They were accompanied by Dino Bravo and Johnny Valiant. They defeated the Rougeau brothers, Jacques and Raymond, in a tag team match. I mean, what were your thoughts on this? I mean, I was a big Beefcake Valentine fan.
Well, this is just a match to have an angle to have the Dream Team split up, because we'll see in the next match what Brutus does from there. But this is just the WWF just splitting up the Dream Team here. And then you have the new Dream Team of Greg Valentine and Dino Bravo. The Rougeaus are pretty good baby faces as well. Yeah. People forget that.
Yeah, I mean, they were good. I mean, like I said, I was a big Beefcake Valentine fan.
It was so weird. It was so weird. Like, the Rougeaus thought that people didn't like them because they were French Canadian like Dino Bravo, so they cut promos trying to separate themselves from we're not like Dino Bravo guys. You don't have to boo us. And then eventually they turn heel themselves.
That's funny. I mean this match. I mean, it wasn't the worst match of the card, but it wasn't the best. I mean, the next match, it was a hair versus hair match. It was supposedly supposed to be Roddy Piper's final match ever. He defeated adorable Adrian Adonis with Jimmy Hart in a hair versus hair match. And what I don't understand in these hair versus hair matches, they don't cut off all their hair. They just cut off a little bit. What were your thoughts on Adrian Adonis and Roddy Piper in this match?
This is a fun angle and a fun feud. Again, you had Roddy Piper. He just recently came back from, I believe, shooting a movie, which I don't think it was They Live. I think it was another movie that he was shooting. So he returns, and he returns as a babyface. And then you had Adrian Adonis, who replaced Piper's Pit with the Flower Shop, which is weird and a little bit off-putting, to be completely honest. So Piper comes out and destroys the Flower Shop, and then Adrian gets his revenge, and they go back and forth, and it accumulates.
Comes to an end.
Comes to an end with Roddy Piper attacking Jimmy Hart and tying him up to a chair, and they're off and running to this match.
I mean, Adrian Adonis. I mean, he was a good wrestler. I mean, a
great wrestler.
Bigger guy. I mean,
he's 50 pounds overweight by this stage.
I mean, what were your thoughts on his like kind of flamboyant gimmick? I mean, do you think that was something that would be really popular nowadays? I mean, or do you think it was kind of?
I mean, it depends on the guy who's working the gimmick. Like Adonis did fine with it. You look at a guy like Velveteen Dream, who is probably not as overt as an Adrian Adonis, but there's definitely elements there, for sure. Like you have Adrian Street, who probably did it the best.
Yeah, I mean, the exotic one.
But this angle goes all the way back. This kind of character goes back to the days of Gorgeous George. It's fun.
Yeah, I mean, he was a good wrestler. I mean, it's just, I mean, it was. It's just he didn't really, like I said, didn't really shave his head. I mean, he didn't lose much of his hair. I mean, I think most of those hair versus hair angles are that the person who loses actually really wants to get a haircut or needs a haircut, and they just
they pay him extra to do that.
I mean, I would pay extra to get my hair. Oh, I don't have any hair. That's beside the point. The next match, Danny Davis and the Hart Foundation.
Dangerous
Danny Davis and the Hart Foundation. Of course, Bret Hitman Hart, who will be at WrestleCon. Jim the Anvil Neidhart
he will not be at WrestleCon.
No, if that happens, then I will pay money to see that. With Jimmy Hart defeated the British Bulldogs and Chico Santana, as Jesse Ventura called him, but it was Tito Santana.
I was always disappointed that this wasn't a Hart Foundation versus British Bulldogs, this regular tag team match for the tag team belts, because I thought that match could have rivaled Steamboat and Savage and may have been a 5-star match. But then looking back, I remember that Dynamite just recently got injured, so that's why they take the belts off him and put it on the Hart Foundation. So maybe this match, the 6-man match, was a way to protect Dynamite here. But he does a lot of work in the match, so I don't know. It's weird.
I don't understand. I mean, the Intercontinental title and the World Heavyweight title are on the line, but the tag team titles are on the line at WrestleMania, which, I find that just...
Dave Davis gets the win here over, I believe it was Davey Boy Smith. He hits him with the megaphone.
Yeah, the old...
Poor Davey Boy. He's always getting screwed like that.
The old devious one, dangerous Danny Davis. It's just like, I mean, he was a referee.
They retroactively recon the angle where they said that Danny Davis kind of screwed Tito when he lost to Savage. But again, if you go back and watch that match, that's not the case at all. He does screw the Bulldogs, though. Sort of.
Yeah, and not in a good way. So, no,
not the way that Butch Reed and Slick would do it.
And speaking of that, the great Coco Beware, he lost to the natural Butch Reed with the Doctor style Slick in a singles match. I mean, I'm a big Butch. Are you a big Butch Reed fan or a Coco?
Absolutely.
I mean, which part of your career are you a Butch Reed fan? Are you Butch Reed WWF mid '80s or a Butch Reed Doom or Butch Reed?
I liked him prior to that. I like Mid South as the #1 heel in Mid South. Go watch some Mid South wrestling. It's actually really good. It's probably the best wrestling television of the '80s.
I mean, it's yeah. And speaking of that, folks, when we're at WrestleCon, if you want to come by and give us your favorite memory of wrestling's past, wrestling the way it used to be, wrestling the way it should be. We talk about wrestling when it was professional wrestling, not sports entertainment. I mean, folks, we want to talk to you. If you have a suggestion, say, hey, can you cover Mid-South from 1982? We'll cover it there, and you can be on it and give your thoughts on if it was something that you watched. I mean, it definitely, it's definitely a great thing. Just come by us. We're booth 45 on the second level, on the second floor of the WrestleCon at the hotel, the Hilton. And you're coming in on Thursday, and you're going to all the shows, aren't you?
I'm going in. Yes, I'm coming in Thursday, and I'm going to all the shows. That is correct.
And they're topping it off with a penis party with Joey Ryan.
That's you, my friend, not me.
I mean, did you hear sad news? I want to kind of bring the mood down, but did you hear the Invisible Man died?
I don't know who that is. Did he get blown up by the invisible hand grenade?
I know he used to wrestle Joey Janela a lot, and they had just a weird angle. He used to wrestle. Joey Janela would wrestle nobody, and it'd be actually the Invisible Man. And he unfortunately passed, and they had a memorial service, and they showed it on Twitter, and they had like at memorials, they have like seats roped off for the family. Well, they had roped off for the Invisible family. It's a dumb angle, but it was kind of funny. But just look it up on the Twitter. The Invisible Man dies. It's very sad. But bringing you back to something that's not going to make you sad, WrestleMania 3. So far the show has been, it's been better than the show we're going to watch next week. But the next match, holy crap. I am a big Ricky Steamboat fan. He faced Randy Macho Man Savage for the Intercontinental title. Savage was the champion. Steamboat beat him for the title. He was with George Animal Steel, of course, who had this infatuation angle with Miss Elizabeth. What were your thoughts on that angle? Because I know George Steele in real life was a professor at a college or something, so he was a smart guy. But in this angle, he was not on his medicine all the time, I don't think.
Oh, he was an animal. You know what I mean? And it was like the Beauty and the Beast angle with him and Liz. That dated back, a year plus at this point. So that's a big time angle that's ending here at WrestleMania 3. And they also had the Savage injuring Ricky Steamboat with the ring bell, and he broke his larynx, as Jesse would call it. And he did all those vignettes where Steamboat was trying to talk again, and eventually he does finally get to talk again. And they had this match. So this is more of a blood feud, and normally you don't see these kinds of feuds have this type of match where it's it's athletic contest, and it's the best WrestleMania match of all time. I would say it's this and Brett and Austin. It's close, but I would give the edge to Steamboat and Randy Savage. And people out there who says this match don't hold up, I don't know what you guys are saying, because this match is phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm any match that you have Ricky Steamboat and Macho Man Randy Savage in is going to be great. Steamboat, he's just good. With his feuds with Flair and all that stuff in the NWA and WCW, he's just great.
Yeah, agreed.
Oh, well, wow. Folks, breaking news, we actually agreed on something. Of course, what were your thoughts on them giving the Intercontinental title, taking it away from Macho Man Randy Savage?
Well, you knew they were going to do much more with Macho down the road at this point. Steamboat was supposed to have a longer run, but he got home for the birth of his child, so they eventually just gave it to the Honky Tonk Man, I think, over the summer. And then basically at that point, they turned Savage babyface, and he's feuding with Honky over the belt. So it kind of felt like, we had this great match with Ricky Steamboat. Steamboat's gone, so we're going to have Savage and Honky Tonk at this point.
Yeah, it was... and speaking of the Honky Tonk Man, he's another inductee into the 2019 WWE Hall of Fame. Congratulations, Honky Tonk, the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time, with Jimmy Hart taking on Jake the Snake Roberts with the Weird Alice Cooper. Your thoughts on this match?
Again, another phenomenal angle where Honky nailed Jake Roberts on the Snake Pit, another talk show, with the guitar, and kind of off and run into this angle. He had Alice Cooper, who's I think is a perfect fit with Jake Roberts, and it is Detroit. He is from Detroit, so a great use of celebrities at this show, way better than WrestleMania 2. That's for sure.
Yeah, there's, what are your thoughts on, the Snake? It's just, I don't know, it's just a weird gimmick.
He wasn't the first one to bring a snake out. The original Sheik used to bring a snake out all the time.
Yeah, it's, and, it was, the original, I didn't know the original Sheik used to bring a snake out.
It's true.
It's true. It's true. It's damn true.
It's damn true.
The next match had the great Iron Sheik, break your back, make you humble. He's going to be at WrestleCon. And Nikolai Volkov with Dr. Style Slick defeated the Killer Bees, beat Brian Blair, and jumping Jim Bronzell by disqualification.
I like the Killer Bees. They were uniquely over, which they were very popular for some odd reason. I don't know why. Brian Blair is an okay guy, but that fucking jumping Jim Brunzell is an ugly looking motherfucker. That's for sure.
Oh, really? I mean,
he's gross looking. Look at him. Look at his face.
I mean, he didn't have the looks of Alex G. I mean, or David Fine. But he's no Tom Zink. So
not at all. He had Haxel who came out and made the save, and it's basically, starting off your Iron Sheik versus Haxel Jim Duggan feud, which wouldn't last too much longer because they would get caught in the turnpike and get arrested together, and both would get fired.
Oh man, and that gets us to the main event of the evening: Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan for the WWF Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah, this is a stupid angle that sucks. That's good. I fooled you.
I mean, what were your thoughts on this? I mean, this climax of WrestleMania 3.
I don't know how to put this, but I think when you compare it to anything in terms of modern professional wrestling, it makes me miss tape shows, right? Because all this angle was pre-planned and taped and wasn't changed at the last minute, and it was thought out, planned out, and executed flawlessly. Something that you do not see in modern wrestling due to the fact that they change almost from week to week. Due to the fact that I believe is due to the fact that they have live television instead of being 4 weeks and then taped. So it makes me miss those days because this angle, this Hogan Andre angle, they couldn't do that today. They couldn't pull that off because they would get jittery and feel weird about it, and they couldn't do an angle that lasts 6 weeks, which this angle wasn't very long. It was only about 6 weeks long prior to WrestleMania. But they couldn't. They would be fidgeting with it. They would be messing with it, and it wouldn't have drawn 93,000 people.
No,
so
it was definitely not have done that. But I mean, yeah.
What are your thoughts on Andre turning heel? He's been a babyface forever, other than Japan. But what are your thoughts on Andre being?
I think it was good, against Hogan. I mean, I'm not a big Andre talking fan, but I mean, it was a good kind of because people didn't see it coming. I mean, most fans, loved Andre at the moment because he was with Hogan, but I mean, I thought it was great by them to turn him heel and go up against the biggest babyface in the history of the business at that time.
Very, very strange. If you go and read the sheets from when Hogan came into the WWF in late '83, early '84, one thing that Uncle Dave talks about is when they're going to do this Andre Hogan match because they have to do it. And it only took about 3 years, but they got around to it. So
yeah, I mean, overall, what would you give the old Meltzer rating? 1 to 10 on WrestleMania 3.
It's probably closer to a 7, and that's fair.
I mean that's pretty good. I mean, and before we in this episode of Retro Wrestling Rewind where we covered WrestleMania 3, once again, how can people like you, follow you, listen, or watch your YouTube channel and subscribe?
What you want to do, you want to go on Twitter to RW Games Presents. Follow me there. We just passed the 5,000 follower mark on Twitter, so congratulations to us. In addition to that, go over to YouTube and type in Retro Wrestling Games, and the first thing that pops up, make sure that you subscribe, you hit that like button when you watch the video, and leave a comment as well.
Yeah, and if you want
over 280 videos on YouTube, by the way.
So that's a couple. I mean, I've watched about most of them. I mean, they're all great. I mean, they would definitely. I call them things that make me just love wrestling even more. I mean, you do a great job. I don't think I've told you that you do a great job on all those, the editing and the sound and the interaction with your co-host on that. It's just awesome. So.
Fuck you.
Well, I got to give you a compliment every once in a while, but if you like what you hear, just go on to our website, go to the rwrewind.com. It's got all our past episodes. If for some strange reason you don't have iTunes, you don't have SoundCloud, for some strange reason, you can go on our website, therwrewind.com. It has all our episodes on there. We're updating our YouTube page, which has it's the video version of the Retro Wrestling Rewind. You can also click on our merch section. That is currently live. If you don't want to go to the website for some strange reason, just click at the bottom of the show notes. It's going to have the links to our merch, our website, our Twitter. We don't have Instagram yet, our Facebook page, and we are trying to get, folks, over 1,000 followers on Twitter by the time we hit WrestleCon 2019. If we do that, we're going to do an epic show. We're going to do epic shows anyway, because of course we're going to be there April 5th and 6th. There's only a couple more episodes after this until I'll hit the highways in the sky and be WrestleMania bound. It's gonna be epic.
Woo!
And folks, if for some reason, if you're coming in at the end of the program, I don't know why you would do that. We are going to be booth 45 on the second level. We're going to be right across from Ric Flair, Kevin Nash, DDP, Trish Stratus, Lita, and I'm going to be right next, probably within 10 feet of the great Hacksaw Jim Duggan with all his 2x4s, him signing his 2x4s. There's going to be a lot of wood in that building that night.
Wah, wah, wah.
And speaking of things that are disappointing, we're not talking about you, Hacksaw Jim.
I thought you were talking about your wood.
Battle Bowl. No. Trust me. Anyway, Battle Bowl 1993 is our next program we're going to be covering next week. What were your thoughts before we leave the airwaves today on Battle Bowl 1993? On that note, for the great Alex G, as always, I am David Fine. We'll see you back here next week as we cover Battle Bowl 1993 right here on the Retro Wrestling Rewind.